What is up, everybody? I'm Tyler, aka CaliCritic, and I welcome you guys to Rough Cuts Wednesday. And the film I'm going to be reviewing this week is the 2009 Academy Award nominated documentary which has just jumped into my favorite movies of all time, Food Incorporated, or shortened Food Inc. Food Inc. is directed by Emmy Award winning filmmaker Robert Kenner, and the film examines corporate farming, and it concludes in the end that corporate agribusiness is unhealthy for the public, especially from the footage that it rakes up along with the interviews from people involved. The film examines different parts of corporate farming, most notably involving meat, vegetables, grain, and corn, where you actually learn a lot more about corn than you would have never thought you would have in your life. There are many interviewees that go on throughout the film, but one of the most prominent ones is famed journalist and author of Fast Food Nation, Eric Schlosser. This film is divided into segments in which the first third of the film or so examines the meat industry involving corporate farming and how tainted meat has led to a lot of different outbreaks, and most notably that there's this law that was going around called Kevin's Law, in which this woman had her 2-year-old son die from tainted meat on a burger, in which he then suffered hemorrhagic E. coli, which he ended up dying from. And it's the fact that it's trying to get this law passed that if something like this happens to a restaurant's meat, then inspections must be performed by the FDA in order to see if they can continue production with the food. And of course, I bet you can expect what the reaction that came out of that story in the end was. I honestly can say that Food Incorporated is one of my favorite documentaries, and definitely one of the most graphic for sure. Like, this is one documentary that is not for the faint of heart at all. This film just goes to show that we never fully know about what we eat, and the content that's in what we eat. In fact, after watching this movie, it affected me so much that I actually stopped eating Tyson chicken nuggets, which I've been addicted to for throughout my life. You see, whenever I look at these now, I just go, ugh. It's the same reaction I get from looking at a Last Airbender DVD. Robert Kenner's direction is fantastic in this film, as he has a very multifaceted content line which explores everything from meat to grains to vegetables to food libel laws to prices to seeds, especially genetically enhanced ones. Or genetically modified ones, my bad. Now, of course, from the topic that this film explores, you can definitely tell of the ones who criticize this film. But if you watch this movie and you're very interested in seeing what is and is not in your food, you'll be extremely surprised about this movie. Other great things that you get out of this movie is that you learn how food prices are so high in grocery stores, especially involving this one family that Kenner explores. They don't have enough of a budget to shop at supermarkets, so they end up doing dollar menu fast food almost every week, and even when the father has diabetes. Now that is rough stuff right there. That just shows how we have food out there that it just gets raised at prices so high that we have to rely on fast food and rely on exercise so we don't become obese. That is a rough thing for a lot of people to go through right there. However, out of all the interviewees, my favorite had to be farmer Joel Salatin. He works on his farm, he ends up getting meat from all the animals that are raised on there, but he goes for different farming methods that are nothing like corporate farming. In fact, this guy is probably the most critical of corporate farming that you'll see in the film, and his old school farming methods have led to a customer base that is over 5 hours away from his actual farmland. I think the main reason that Food Inc. has got such an influence over me is that it is one of those few films that is so graphic in its description and very visceral in its approach, angry at a lot of the stuff I've seen. There's at least one of those documentaries that releases every year for us in which we just get angry at what we see because we can't believe it's happening right now. And this is a film that is just a perfect example of that. Like, there are so many things that you're gonna be going like, oh my god! Without a doubt, Food Inc. is one of my favorite documentaries of all time. I highly recommend it to anyone who is interested in corporate farming or what we don't know what's in our food, because this film is such an important example of that. Food Inc. is definitely one of my favorite documentaries and favorite films of all time. I'm giving it a full-on 5-star rating. I have not been affected by a documentary this much in years. Thanks for watching this review, and if you want to see more of what I do, head over to my main channel, CaliCritic Reviews, and you can check out my newest reviews for the mainstream and independent films, of course. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday for yet another Rough Cuts review.